George Foreman. All about his 12 kids and why he named all 5 of his sons George. George Foreman's daughter Frida died by suicide in March 2019 at the age of 42. George Foreman held many titles: Olympic gold medalist, 2-time heavyweight boxing champion, and grill entrepreneur. But the title that Foreman, who died March 21, 2025 at the age of 76, held closest to his heart was father. The late athlete was married a total of 5 times, to Adrienne Calhoun from 1971 to 1974, Cynthia Lewis from 1977 to 1979, Sharon Goodson from 1981 to 1982, Andrea Skeet from 1982 to 1985, and to Mary Joan Martelli, his wife since 1985. Through his relationships, he welcomed 5 sons and 7 daughters. All 5 of his sons share the same name, George Edward Foreman, something the boxer said he did to unite the men together. "I named all my sons George Edward Foreman so they would always have something in common," Foreman previously wrote on his website. "I say to them, if one of us goes up, then we all go up together. And if one goes down, we all go down together." He also famously said one time, "I tell people, if you're going to get hit as many times as I've been hit by Muhammad Ali, Joe Frazier, Ken Norton, Evander Holyfield, you're not going to remember many names." Of course, calling everyone George can be a little confusing, so Foreman's sons have all earned nicknames for themselves. There's George Jr., George III, Monk, George IV, Big Wheel, George V, Red, and George VI, Little Joey. Meanwhile, in addition to his boys, Foreman has 5 daughters: Natalia, Leola, Michi, Georgetta, and Frida. The latter died by suicide at the age of 42 in March 2019, per the Florida Times-Union. According to Blavity, Foreman adopted his daughter Isabella in 2009 and in 2012 welcomed another one of his adopted daughters named Courtney. Like their brothers, most have stayed out of the public eye. Natalia attempted a career as a singer, while Georgetta has worked as a television producer, putting out shows like 1999's Divorce Court and 2001's Beyond the Glory. He has 10 kids, but growing up he made sure that we all had our special time, Georgetta told CBN of her dad. "There was even a time when we all had our own days. There was a Georgetta day, or George II day, or whatever. And he took that time out to make sure that that day you had whatever you wanted to eat, whatever you wanted to do, and he took out time to get to know who we were and who we are now." Before her death, Frida tried her hand at professional boxing, taking on the sport in 2000 before retiring in 2001 with a record of 5-1. She was also a mother to 2 kids with her husband. She also had 3 grandchildren in 2008. Foreman published a book about fatherhood, fittingly titled, Fatherhood by George, Hard-Won Advice on Being a Dad. In it, he doled out parenting advice, often relating his wisdom back to scripture from his Christian faith. Foreman told CBN that he wanted to write the book to make sure his kids didn't make the same mistakes he made early on with fatherhood. "In raising children, life brings forth those things where you do what you should never have done and what I taught you never to do. And when my kids have done those things, I just kind of look at them and say, now you know life," Freeman said, with a laugh that you've got to look for all the things, the qualities in one kid. "The worst thing in the world is to think, I've got another daughter, I have another son. Each are different people," Foreman said. "You can't use the same remedies. You can't use the same harshness or the same slackness. You've got to understand that each child is different and you've got to treat them differently." Ultimately, he said being a dad is something he treasures. "One thing I'm most proud of, in my heart, are my children," he told CBN. "They've gone on, some of them, to stand the test, to get college education, and that's the hardest thing in the world to achieve. But most of all, they're good parents, and that's what I'm proud of."